In this lesson, you will understand the causes of the First World War. The objective is to be thinking about the long-term causes that led to the First World War breaking out in 1914. The outcomes will be that you will know the main causes of the First World War. You will understand how these events led to tension in Europe, which in turn would lead to war. And then you will be able to explain how some of these linked to the outbreak of war in 1914. Your first task then will be to use the A4 sheet that you have and the A3 information sheet that you have been given. First things, fill out and complete the blanks on the A4 map sheet, identifying the major countries in Europe. Please pause the film here. Your second task is to identify the two gangs, groups or alliances that the European countries grouped themselves into in 1914. This can be done using the information on the A3 sheet, or alternatively, do a search on Google, type in World War I alliances and click on images, and it will tell you which countries were working together in order to defend themselves against the other group of countries. Please make sure that you color code your map and provide a key, but don't waste too long coloring in the whole countries. Use hash lines. You can pause the film here. Your third task is to use your A3 map sheet with all the information about the various strengths of each of the countries and transfer that information from the map sheet onto your grid. Now please be aware when you're doing this task that you are simply transferring information from the A3 map sheet to your A4 grid. You are not doing anything more than copying over information. Please study the key on the A3 map sheet and see which square on this grid needs to be filled out with which bit of information. You should aim to do this as quickly as is possible because the level of challenge in this task is not that high. The challenge in this task comes when we have to analyze the information on this grid. Please pause the film here. Your next task is to pull all of this learning together using the map, using your understanding of alliances and gangs, and using your knowledge about the strengths and weaknesses of each country. You will now need to answer each of the 4 following questions, and do so please in full sentence answers. Which was the strongest country in Europe and why? Which was the strongest alliance and why? Which was the weakest country and why? Which was the weakest alliance and why? A full sentence response to the first question will be put together like this, considering point, evidence and analysis. The strongest country in Europe was, choose your country, because. Provide your evidence. Ideally, you should be able to come up with at least 2 pieces of evidence rather than 1 piece of evidence as to why your choice of country was the strongest. Please repeat this writing frame response for each of the following questions. As you answer the question, think about the geography of Europe. Think about the military strengths of each country. Think about how strong their economy was, and think about political factors like who was friends with who. Please pause the film here.